it's entitled Christ's Letter to the Church at Philadelphia. The church in Philadelphia represents what I call the revived church, dating far from approximately the beginning of the 19th century to the rapture. This is, and Daryl has that underscored, by the way. This is the church that has turned back to the Word of God. Today, in Protestantism and also in the Roman Catholic Church, there are multitudes of people who are turning to the Word of God. Mail which I received from all over the world indicates that there are people wanting to hear the Word of God and who are hungry for it. This period is pictured in the Church of Philadelphia. I have visited the Church of Philadelphia. Again, that's McGee, not me. And it is today a rather prosperous little Turkish town. It is located in a very beautiful valley that is inland a great distance, about 125 to 150 miles from the coast. The valley is a very wide one which runs north and south, and the uh, Cog- Cogamus River of that valley is a tributary of the River. The city was built on 4 or 5 hills in a picturesque setting. Today, it is spread out a great deal, and it is a typical Turkish town. Philadelphia is in an area of subjugation, uh, an area that is subject to earthquakes. Sorry. The great population that was in that area left primarily because of earthquakes and, of course, because of warfare. When Tamerlane and the other great pagan leaders came out of the east, it was a time when all those who were left were slaughtered. Thereafter, today, no descendants of the original population are there. However, this city has had a continuous habitation from its very beginning. This city was like a Greek island out of Lydia, out of the Anatolian country, an area which the Greek considered to be heathen and pagan. The Greek word for it was barbarian. In fact, anyone who was not a Greek was considered a barbarian in those days. The Lydian language was spoken there at first, but by the time of the apostles, the Greek language had taken over, and it was a typical Greek colony. This was the outpost of Greek culture in a truly Asiatic and Anatolian atmosphere. It was called a little Athens because of the fact that it was in this area, and yet it was truly Greek. It was a fortress city used to waylay the enemy who would come in to destroy the greater cities like Ephesus and Smyrna and Pergamum. Those were the 3 great cities. These other cities were largely fortress cities where uh, garrisons were stationed either to stop the enemy or delay him as he marched toward the western coast. Philadelphia country is in a country where erosion is at work. The soil is quite alluvial, but it is a very fertile soil. Beautiful laurel trees, many flowers. I noticed that they are growing just about everything that is imaginable. It was particularly celebrated for its excellent wine. Great vineyards covered the surrounding hills, and the head of Bacchus was imprinted on their coins. The city did not get its name, as so many seem to think, from the Bible. Actually, the city got its name because of the love that Tullus II had for his brother uh, Eumenes, who was king of Pergamum. Attalus had a great love and loyalty for his brother, and because of that, it is called the city of brotherly love. In AD 17, a great earthquake struck this city and totally destroyed it. And the same earthquake totally destroyed Sardis and many other Lydian cities throughout that area. Tiberius, the emperor at the time, allocated a vast sum of money for the rebuilding of these cities, and they were then restored. It's interesting. In the radio program, he gives an amount. But Darrell underscores this. This is the one church besides Smyrna for which the Lord had no word of condemnation. Why? Darrow continues to underscore this because had turned to the Word of God. It is interesting concerning the two churches which he did not condemn that the places are still in existence, although the churches have disappeared. However, in Philadelphia, there is something quite interesting about which I would like to tell you. First of all, there are the remains of a Byzantine church, which reveals that Christianity was active there and up until the 12th or 13th century. The people who are caretakers of that area today must be Christians. Although I could not converse with them, they very graciously brought me a pitcher of water and a dipper on a very warm day. I was there. That's McGee and not me. The man and his wife who brought it were all smiles. I couldn't talk to them and they couldn't talk to me, but I felt that we did communicate something of Christian love. The remains of the Byzantine church are still there, but that is not the pillar that is mentioned in verse 12, although many believe that it is, and that is where the guides take the tours. However, because my first trip there, I had seen a picture of a big amphitheater in Adam's biblical backgrounds. So I told my guide that I wanted to go up there on the side of the hill. The amphitheater was no longer there, but there was a Turkish coffee shop there where my guide talked to a man. He said that there had been an amphitheater, but it was totally destroyed except for one pillar. I have a picture of that pillar, which is hidden away under the trees. Why did the Turkish government get rid of the amphitheater? I'll tell you why. The uh, Seljuk Turks brutally killed the Christians in Philadelphia, and they wanted to get rid of every vestige of that old civilization. Today, they would rather that you and I forget about it. Philadelphia is the place where Christian and uh, Saracen fought during the Crusades, and in 1922, Turkey and Greece fought in Philadelphia. There are apparently a few Christians there today, as I have suggested, but they are undercover because they would be severely persecuted. The church in Philadelphia continued into the 13th century. This church was in a very strategic area to be a missionary church. And that is actually what it was. I have labeled it the revived church because it returned to the Word of God and began to teach the Word of God. This represents something that I think we see in Protestantism today. It began back in the last century and has gained since then. So that Bible teaching is not something that is new by any means, but it has certainly become rather popular today. Let's see, that goes all the way back there. Okay, sorry about that. Mm. We feel very definitely that our Bible teaching radio program has come in on the crest of the wave of interest in the Word of God.